So hello, I'm Sam Castor, CEO of Alivay and founder of Man Relief Ministries. Tonight, our subject is immune boosters. If you haven't noticed during the current pandemic, every product on the market, it seems like in the supplement industry, is being promoted as an immune booster. And there's a good reason for that. It's because the popular press and the medical community have done a very good job of educating, we, the people, on the importance of a good functioning immune system during the global pandemic that we're under. So they've been very good at telling us that the greatest risk of this pandemic exists with those that have compromised immune systems. And who are those people? Well, about 60% of us live with a pre-existing condition, one or more chronic diseases. That's the number one group. Over half our population is at risk of having a bad experience. Secondly, the elderly. As you get older and there's less exercise and poor nutrition, things like that, you become more susceptible. And finally, those that are on medications. That's everybody in the first two groups, right? It's almost everybody in the country. So those are the people at greatest risk. So what are the things that actually weaken the immune system? Because if we're going to try to fix this problem, we kind of need to know what the challenge is. Again, medical conditions, toxicity is a big issue. That comes, of course, the number one reason is medications. But the chemicals that exist in, the things that we eat, drink, and breathe today, and of course, smoking is always a challenge. Poor diet is a major contributor to a poor functioning immune system. Too much sugar in our modern diets, too many processed foods, and obviously not enough vitamins and minerals, which are necessary to support a normal functioning immune system. And then finally, sedentary lifestyles. We don't move enough. Of course, with the elderly, it's compounded, this pandemic, by the fact that respiratory infections have been for almost a decade the number one cause of death in people over 65 years of age, and that's on a worldwide basis. So then you have this pandemic issue and you got some real challenges. So we go to the store and we look for immune supplements that can make a change. And again, everything is classified as immune booster. I'm going to tell you those fall into three different categories, everything you're looking at out there. Number one, immune supporting supplements. Number two, immune stimulating supplements. And number three, immune modulating supplements. And I'm going to tell you what those are now. So you can just Google good functioning immune system, and here's one that I saw today, best 8 vitamins and minerals for immune system support. Vitamin B, C, D, E, folic acid, iron, selenium, and zinc. So you find products that contain those vitamins and those minerals, and because they have a direct effect on the immune system. Now here's the interesting point, is that vitamins and minerals support normal immune functions, but you have to be deficient of those vitamins or minerals in order for a vitamin mineral supplement to make a difference in your immune system. So really, and this also covers drinks that are made out of whole foods or supplements like elderberry or goji berry or, those types of foods, because they have many of those nutrients in it that support a good functioning immune system. But versus immune booster, it should say normalize your immune function, because it really doesn't boost your immune function. It just helps your immune system function in its normal way. That's what vitamins and minerals are designed to do. Here's the challenge. We go to a store and we see immune boosters, vitamin C. If 100% of your daily value is good, how about 500% or 1,000% or 2,000% like we see on some bottles? Well, they're playing off the fact that if a little is good, then a lot would be great. That's not the case, especially when you're talking about things like the chemical isolate form of vitamin C, which is called ascorbic acid. Too much can actually be toxic in the system. Too much calcium, too much of any vitamin, any mineral, especially in its isolate form, has shown to actually increase the risk of disease and death. Okay, now let's get on to immune stimulants. Many herbal supplements actually stimulate your immune system. Let's take echinacea. It's probably the best known. Now, if you Google echinacea, these are some of the things that you'll see about it. Number one, it activates the pro-inflammatory responses of the immune system. That's the front line of defense. When the immune system sees a problem, whether it's a pathogen, an invading virus or bacteria, or there's damage in the body, tissue damage, it sends pro-inflammatory responses to that area to start the immune response. So there's no doubt that herbs like echinacea can activate those pro-inflammatory responses. But here's some of the other things that you find. Do not take for more than 10 days in a row. Why is that? You don't want to activate your immune system and just turn it on without the ability to turn it off. Number two, do not take with medications. Well, that makes sense because there's a negative interaction between a pro-inflammatory stimulator in many medications. And then finally, do not take if you have an autoimmune disorder. Well, that makes sense. I mean, autoimmune means that your immune system is misfiring and attacking healthy tissue. That's a problem, right? So you don't want to do that. So the other challenge, especially with what's going on with this pandemic, is a poor functioning immune system doesn't mean your immune system is not working. It means it's not working well. So for instance, when you turn on the pro-inflammatory response, that can cause what is called a cytokine storm in people with poor functioning immune systems. So cytokines are the soldiers in the immune system that coordinate the immune system's inflammatory responses to infections, like a virus. Cytokine storms happen when these functions do not down-regulate appropriately. So it's kind of like with echinacea. You turn it on, but the immune system does not down-regulate. What happens then? Well, it can result in systemic inflammatory attack on your glands and organs known as sepsis, which can result in death. In other words, these pro-inflammatory cytokines spill over into your bloodstream because your body doesn't turn them off. So you don't necessarily want to stimulate, your immune system. It's good if you feel a cold coming on, that does activate the immune system, get things going. But again, for this pandemic, probably not the best choice. And then finally, there's immune modulation. How does that happen? It happens by turning on the front lines of defense in the immune system. That's called macrophage activation. So what are macrophages? Macrophages are large white blood cells that are made in your bone marrow. They regulate immunomodulating, that means up and down, functions of the immune system. They provide defense against viral and bacterial infections, and they serve to detect and eliminate any foreign antigens or microorganisms. In other words, macrophages orchestrate the entire immune modulating capacity of the human immune system. So turning those on is important. In the book, The Science Behind Aloe, it says activated macrophages and dendritic cells, which is another frontline defense molecule in the innate immune system. So activated macrophages and dendritic cells are deeply involved in self-regulating immunomodulation. So again, the immune system knows when to turn on and turn off appropriately if those mechanisms are supported. Dendritic cell activation produces a cocktail of both pro and anti-inflammatory cytokines to help keep that balance in the immune system to these various responses. Okay, so how does that actually happen? How does normal human physiology upregulate the macrophage? Well, when you're looking on the left at infections, that's caused by pathogens like viruses or bacteria or fungi. And what they all have are these glycans, these these strings of individual sugars sticking off their surface. And at the end of those sugars is a particular sugar that is called mannose. Mannose is the key to turning on macrophages. So you can see that purple looking thing with the dot in the center, that's a macrophage. And on the right, you see a little yellow Y looking figure. That's called a mannose receptor site. So anytime a virus, any type of pathogen comes into the human body, it expresses that mannose glycan. The immune system sees it, whether it's a macrophage or dendritic cell, and immediately goes into action. On the right side of the page, you'll see cancer. This is the same mechanism of action for seeing disease cells. All disease cells express what are called antigens. Antigen is short for antibody generator. So in other words, it's a message that sticks off the surface of a cancer cell that tells the macrophage or dendritic cells, this is a disease cell. The macrophage actually codes that antigen, sends off a messenger to a B cell to make an antibody that can only attach to that specific structured antigen on that specific cancer cell. Human physiology is absolutely amazing. So that's how you turn on a macrophage or a dendritic cell. All this stuff doesn't make any difference. You need to know this. I want to just show you this. All of these little figures at the bottom where it says extracellular receptors. These are all the different types of receptor sites that are sticking off the surface of your macrophages that actually activate it. Now look at the top. These are ligands. O-linked mannins, that's made of mannose. Phospholipomannins, amannins, N-linked mannins. Mannins all the way on the far right are mannosides. All of these, there's one thing called a beta-glucan. You might see that term come up from time to time in people that are selling immune supporting technologies. Beta-glucans are existent in the tissues of fungi. So there's one receptor that looks for that. All the rest of them on the macrophage are looking for different forms of mannose and mannins. Just want to say that in nature, there's nothing like mannins and mannose to activate the macrophage. I love this book. This is called The Plague of Corruption. It's a great book, by the way. It's written by a lady by the name of Dr. Judy Mikovits. And this lady was from the NIH. She spent 20 years at National Cancer Institute. Her doctoral thesis changed the way that we started treating HIV and AIDS and saved the lives of millions of people. She's come under some controversy recently because she discovered a whole new series or family of retroviruses that comes from animals that they make human vaccines from, that she believes is now linked to issues like chronic fatigue syndrome and autism. Anyway, you can imagine that that's controversial within the medical complex. Anyway, just a brilliant lady. She says this about macrophages. They're orchestrators of the immune system response. If you can get your macrophages working properly, they will attack pathogens more effectively. That's the way nature intended humans to defend themselves. So it's all about macrophage activation. That brings us to this plant. It's called aloe vera, cornerstone of ancient medicine for a reason. They didn't know in those days why, but there was something in the fresh gel of aloe vera that caused an immune response that was unlike anything that they had seen in nature or in medicine. In fact, that still stands today. In 1985, the bioactive molecule in the aloe vera gel was discovered that actually made that immune response. It was named ACE mannan. And as you can see, these are short chain, medium chain, long chain polysaccharides, meaning sugar strands that are comprised mainly of mannose. the monosaccharide that is essential in the good functioning immune system. In fact, 95% of all the individual sugars in ace-mannan are mannose. So that was the first discovery. I mean, that sort of changed things. When they discovered ace-mannan and stabilized it, that brought out the first stabilized mannose-based molecule from nature. Then 2005, this article was published, which is the identification of the optimal molecular size of allopolysaccharides, which are ace-mannan, with maximum immunomodulatory activity. In other words, of the small, medium, and large chains, which ones were actually activating the immune system. And this was published in the International Immunopharmacology Journal in 2005. And that changed everything. In 2014, Dr. Santiago Rodriguez took that science and created the industry's most potent immunomodulating technology using this new science of ace-mannan technology. And he donated that exclusive technology to the Hope Movement, our program, our platform of social giving, so that every time a consumer made the decision to enhance their immune activity, we could provide that same level of immune support to the world's most vulnerable children. That's what we do in the Hope Movement. That's what we do through Alivea. The two products that we made specifically to deliver ace-mannan, one is called Immune. Obviously, that's what it's for. You know, strengthen your immune system through immune modulation. The other is a product that we love the delivery system, we thought initially, for children, but what we're finding is adults are eating more of these than anybody, because it's a sugar-free lollipop with vitamin C made specifically for immune macrophage activation. And I'll just close this segment with this. You know, the cutting edge of cancer research today is a new form of therapy that is being called immunotherapy. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's after 50 years of, you know, invasive forms of cancer treatment, the brightest minds in cancer research have come to one conclusion. The most impactful way to fight cancer in the human body is through the human immune system. And so what they're doing in immunotherapy is they're finding ways to help the immune system do what it's designed to do. Like, for instance, they're monocloning some of these antibodies that attach to those cancer antigens that I explained at the beginning of this talk. But to maximize the efficacy of immunotherapy, one of the leading immunotherapists in the country wrote this little article. She said, "Our search for the most scientifically advanced technologies for optimal immune system support led us to Alivea. Their unique immune modulating Alivea ace-mannan technology represents the best science that I found for immune system modulation and provides us with an unprecedented integrative health strategy for maximizing the benefits of immunotherapy." That is Dr. Renee Hurty from Dream for the Cure Foundation, Cancer Research Foundation. So when you're out in the market, and we're living in a 21st century where pathogens of all kinds are coming at us from all directions, just remember, the most proactive thing that you can do is turn on the very front end of the immune response, which is called macrophage activation. There is no molecule in nature that provides the mannose or mannins like the ace-mannan molecule in aloe vera. So, hope you've enjoyed this. Hope it's helped broaden your mind just a little, given a little perspective to this, quote, immune booster phenomena that's going on in the marketplace and why we have absolutely the cutting edge technology. Hey, thanks for joining us on the call tonight. We'll see you guys real soon.